Welcome to American Heroes Outdoors. On this adventure, we head down to Fergus Falls, Minnesota to hunt some late-season Canada geese with the boys from Properties LLC. A cold front just moved into the area, and with it, a ton more birds. We're also going to showcase an organization by the name of Band of Brothers Outdoors. We'll get to hear a little bit about how they're helping our veterans and our nation's true heroes get back into the outdoors. So join us as we continue to share the stories of our nation's true heroes while helping them heal in the great outdoors.
Throughout history, brave men and women have answered their nation's call to serve. Heroes who have put their life on the line for each other and our freedoms. These are their stories.
American Heroes Outdoors is brought to you by Scheels, Disabled American Veterans of Minnesota, Smoky Hills Outdoor Store, Gate City Bank, Skeeter Boats and Yamaha Outboards, Yamaha Power Products, Woodland Resort, S&S Promotional Group, Wheelers Point Resort, and Ice Castle Fish Houses.
It's mid-November. The temperatures have taken a tumble, and there's snow. This is causing a large migration of geese to push through the Midwest and western Minnesota. We could not have planned this hunt any better. One day earlier, and we would have missed this phenomenon. It is mind-numbing cold. Fortunately, the pits we're hunting out of aren't your ordinary pits. Dropping down into a heated bunker to escape the elements is truly spectacular.
Holy crap! That's a temperature change.
The smell of breakfast being cooked gave us plenty of assurances that Mother Nature was not going to cause us to retreat anytime soon. After getting set up and going over a safety meeting, the Band of Brothers crew loaded up in anticipation for the first flock of birds. The mid-morning action was constant. By the time the birds were retrieved, more birds were already coming in.
Oh, these pits this was awesome. This is probably one of the funner activities of these veteran activities that I've probably ever done. The guides cooked breakfast, lunch, and even a couple snacks throughout the day. That was great. How they could call birds in and get them literally right on top of you. And then after, knocking birds down and then watching the dog go out there and retrieve the bird, even if it was a blind retrieve.
Well, so far we got, I think we got 12 birds on the ground. It's been probably their most successful hunt of the year. I think this weather pattern that moved in helped out a lot. We got about 3-4 inches of snow down in the Fergus Falls area. They're working another flock right now. They're slowly coming out of town and working into the decoys. It's about 20 degrees. It's really cold out, so the birds are taking a little while to get off the water, but they're definitely moving around. So I think the guys are having a good time, don't you think?
Yeah, so far. Everybody seems to be smiling and enjoying themselves.
Yeah, can't get much better than that, right?
Nope.
The goose hunting was so great that we had to take shifts between shooting and eating all morning long, which worked out because it's the time between the action where the most bonding and camaraderie takes place.
I guess what's interesting about this kind of stuff and why I do it. I mean, you know, it's nice to go out and catch fish or shoot geese or do whatever we're doing for the day, but you almost have that, you're building on that network. You're getting another network of other veterans or disabled veterans that are around, and just growing that bond with other people.
When you can bring those like-minded people out on a hunt like this and get everybody together that has a lot of us have never met, but you get us all together and you just have that bond, and it's easier to talk to those guys, and you have the same gripes and the same complaints and the same good memories too, and all the fun.
It's a big thank you for me to be able to take you guys out and share what I love with you guys, because I mean, you guys have sacrificed so much to allow us to be able to do what we love to do, you know. I mean, it's an honor for me to be able to do it, really.
Nice shooting, guys. Nice shooting.
Well, the birds are starting to come out of town. It's evening now, and they're just starting to move out. I think we got some birds working the decoys right now, so we better get going. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
4 low out front. 4 low out front. This way.
They're on the deck. Stay near. They might be on the right side. Watch your barrels.
As the afternoon carried on, the birds diminished, which allowed us some time to present a surprise to the Band of Brothers organization. We took some time. Boys are in there making lunch. He's frying up some fresh goose out in the blind here. We're sharing some really good stories. The guys are having a great time. You know, Greg came out here from Ice Castle, and he brought out an Ice Castle fish house for the Band of Brother Outdoors guys to use. Greg called me a few weeks back. He represents Ice Castle, and he talked to me and said, I see what these guys are doing, and now they're hooked up with ICOG, and we should probably get them an ice house for ICOG and get something that they can use and get veterans in and continue their mission. And I said, yeah, that's a great idea. So he worked with American Heroes Outdoors, and Ice Castle came up with this. They want to give you an ice house to use indefinitely, you know, at least for the foreseeable future, for this year and your adventures to get veterans out on the water and what? So really? Greg drove from the factory today to bring you guys this ice house.
No way. That's awesome. Something to start out with anyway. When we found out the fish house was ours, it was a very surreal moment. I mean, it's not something that we expect or something that it comes natural to people. It's just all of a sudden it was, now we've got a fish house to use, and it's something that we've been looking for a long time, to call our own and to be able to use it how we want to use it and to help people do what they want to do. Mm-hmm. I think it was definitely a shock for everybody in our group that we have something to call our own now.
Thank you. Yeah, from the bottom of our hearts. This will really help.
There's just something about the outdoors that heals the heart, mends the mind, and strengthens the soul. Being able to share this with the Band of Brothers crew and knowing they'll continue their mission is encouraging. As the day came to an end, we were able to connect with Army veteran Brett Metzer.
I joined the military shortly, a couple years after 9/11. Didn't really have a whole lot planned career-wise, so it just seemed like the right fit. Went to basic at Fort Knox, Kentucky, and shortly after that I got sent over to Germany, and I was stationed there my whole time. I was deployed to Iraq in September of 2006, and coming from a small town in northern Minnesota, the first initial shock walking out of the plane in Kuwait was, the only way I can explain it is it's like getting punched in the face with a hairdryer. It was just hot, instantly hot, and I think we got there at like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, so it's kind of a rude awakening type thing. You know, I remember we were there for probably 8 months or so, and we were sitting around the day room and watching CNN. I think that was the only channel that came in at the time, and there was the banners across the bottom, you know, showed that all troops currently serving in Iraq were going to be extended up to, I can't remember, maybe it was X amount of months or whatever. So we ended up staying for 15 months for a total while we were there. So that part was tough. It was tough to see that on the news, and part of you didn't really want to believe it. You know, you never got orders saying that you were going to be there for that long. So it was pretty tough on morale. That was the military life. It is what it is, and you just keep going on, move forward. and went back to Germany, and I was there for another year. So I think in total I was in Germany for about 2 years before I got out of the active side. And then that's when I joined the Guards and did the National Guard for a couple of years. When we kind of came home, it was kind of different. I mean, for us especially, we came back to another foreign country, really. You had your other guys, your brothers around you, but they were off with their families too, you know, so you're kind of almost in that alone stage. Something that helped me kind of re-assimilate back into the stateside life, or the civilian life, if you will, was reaching out to organizations like the Band of Brothers and other, you know, local DAV chapters and everything like that, just kind of getting involved and getting to know other veterans. And I actually kind of come to figure out that everyone kind of has those same issues, and getting together and talking about it over shooting some geese or catching some fish is a great way to just kind of get it all off your chest or get it off your mind. You know, sometimes it takes a few minutes for people to kind of get comfortable with each other, but once you're comfortable and you know everything, everyone starts jabbing each other and laughing and telling stories about this, that, and the other. And even the stories, they're all similar in nature. I mean, everyone has the story where it was the worst day of their life and the best day of their life, and they're all pretty much similar stories, really. Bonds I made when I was in the service are a lifelong type thing, and I think that even just goes between other service members that you never served with, that you just automatically have that click, that bond, that something that ties you together regardless of if you were in the Navy, the Army, the Marines, or whatever. I mean, you just have that. You went through it. You kind of think the same way. You've been there together, even if you weren't there together.
So here we are at the end of the day. We had an awesome hunt today. We put 30 birds on the ground. Pitt Properties is a first-class organization. We had 3 or 4 great meals today. We shot a lot of birds, and we were comfortable all day long. And we're going to head in tonight and be out here again real early tomorrow and hopefully shoot some more geese and tell some more stories.
Now it's time for the Scheels Hometown Hero.
Welcome to Scheels Hometown Heroes.
Scheels Hometown Heroes is a way for us to say thanks
to those that serve our country and our community,
and are still giving back to others today.
We honor your service by sharing your stories.
From all of us at Scheels, thank you for your service.
Hi, I'm Jake from Scheels here in Fargo, and we're here to introduce Susan Pizarro and Shandy, her dog, from Patriot Assistance Dogs, as our next hometown hero.
Patriot Assistance Dogs is an organization that was started to, number 1, rescue dogs and find a new purpose for them. Number 2, to train those dogs to be service dogs for military veterans who suffer from PTSD, TBI, and the related symptoms of anxiety, depression, insomnia, mood swings. We train the dogs to work with the veterans to make the veterans' lives better. Susan started coming and volunteering her time. She came in and she just wanted to walk dogs and brush dogs. She was wonderful at grooming them. As she came through the program and got her dog, got Shandy, she kept coming back and volunteering and mentoring. She's got wonderful computer skills, which I don't have. And she could make forms, and she could find things in the computer, and she could make it do things that I can't. And she's just a great asset.
I served in the Army National Guard, North Dakota, for 13 years. And I initially went into the service to spend more time with my dad, because my parents are divorced. So I thought, oh, I'll be an engineer and I'll go build stuff with my dad. You know, there are a lot of benefits to being in the National Guard, but that wasn't really the main purpose. He was a full-time readiness NCO, so he ended up doing a lot of administrative work, and I ended up, you know, out building things. But every once in a while, we were able to do projects together. I was deployed to Iraq from January of 2003 through April of 2004. And we did a lot of infrastructure work. We built a lot of guard towers and gravity-fed showers. You know, I came back home thinking that everything was right as rain, and I was just so glad to be back that I thought everything would go back to normal life, go back to school. And I had one of my first big panic attacks. And I kind of realized within a few months after that that I'm not enjoying my life anymore and I can't do the things I used to do. Just volunteering before I started working here gave me something to do that took me outside of my house, outside of my own head, outside of my own misery and anxiety, and outside of my own hole. And even before I was paired, it felt like I was just so grateful to be a part of something that matters. It is pretty overwhelming to be in a position to feel like I am of purpose to other veterans in a way that other volunteers at one time were that purpose for me.
Our goal is to take a dog and have it in our program for 6 to 9 months and place it with a veteran. It's the temperament of the dog, it's the willingness to work, the trainability, the wanting to be with us, and we play on that. Dogs that don't want to help us don't make good service dogs. But a dog who wants to help, the dog that senses a change in my breathing, senses a change in my blood pressure, senses a change in my heart rate. If I dump a little adrenaline, there's a smell to that, they're all over that. Those are the dogs that we look for in the program because they're the ones that when something changes with me, that head pops around and they come over and they want to investigate.
When we're in a class and I see dogs responding to veterans, even when they can't see it like I couldn't, it's like magic. And I think about what Shandy has done in my life and where I am now as compared to where I was. And I just see hope for all of these veterans who are just being paired, and it's really beautiful.
Here we are, day 2 with Pitt Properties and Band of Brothers Outdoors. The weather's a little worse today. We got up at 3:30, got out to the pits and did some work on the pits and set up a few hundred decoys. So a little bit more work today. It was about 7 degrees this morning with about 25-mile-an-hour winds. So the weather's a little blustery. We've had a few groups working the decoys, but we haven't put them down on the ground, and we got to keep our eyes to the sky. And hopefully we can get a few more in here today. If they come in, they're going to come in low and they're going to come in fast. So we just got to get them into the decoys.
Get ready. Just walk to the right. Right there.
Get your gun up.
Walk, keep walking. Right there, right there.
Jordan, you chase it down?
Oh yeah. Nice job.
First goes, woo! High five. All right.
The birds that we're hunting today actually just moved into town yesterday with this weather that was perfectly lined up for the hunt. A little bit of cold weather pushed in, northwest wind and some snow makes for some more birds and easier decoying birds, a little bit better hunting.
Well, we've got a large decoy spread out for there's a lot of geese in town, so they're used to seeing big concentrations of geese. So you got to put a lot of decoys out to make them comfortable. Good calling, and yeah, good hide. That's very important. Staying hidden, and yeah, call them in and get them close, and hopefully kill them.
Really, whether you're out in a layout blind, or you're sitting on a fence line, or you go out and get the birds. I mean, that's what it's all about. Get your friends together, get guys you don't know. I mean, get them together, get out there, get on the hunt. I mean, that's what it's all about. So if you can do that and you can do it comfortably, I mean, I recommend it, but it's all about hunting.
It's groups and organizations like Band of Brothers Outdoors who truly care about the mission of getting others into the outdoors to heal, which is exactly why we teamed up with them to help them share their mission.
Band of Brothers Outdoors was started, we had one guy that was a disabled veteran. He was looking for a fish house. He had a bad back. And a couple of us decided to get together on a Facebook page, and we messaged each other outside of it to try and find him a fish house to either use or somebody to donate to him. So eventually it just kind of snowballed into one thing, and we decided to become a nonprofit organization and do what we can for everybody as far as ice fishing and open water and hunting. I think as a veteran, I mean, there's a lot of veterans out there with PTSD, and we've had a few that go on some of our hunts, and just to be out there in nature, sitting in a deer stand or in a fish house out on the lake, it's relaxing and it's calming, and it kind of cuts away from everything else that's going on in the outside world. It kind of gives you your own little space to think. If you'd like to help out Band of Brothers Outdoors by either donating or volunteering your time, we can be found online at bandofbrothersoutdoors.org, or you can find us on Facebook at Band of Brothers Outdoors.
One of the most important things that happens when we're out here is when a group of like-minded individuals get together and enjoy the outdoors. There's a healing aspect to it, and we've witnessed that this weekend, and we do on a lot of our adventures. The outdoors are something special, from sitting in a boat, watching the sunrise, to sitting in a goose pit and hearing the birds come in, and it's just, there's camaraderie that happens. And when you get a couple organizations like Band of Brothers Outdoors and American Heroes Outdoors, we're out here enjoying a couple days of hunting, we're out here eating and sharing stories, it's truly special. So help us continue our mission to share the stories of our nation's true heroes while helping them heal in the great outdoors.
American Heroes Outdoors is brought to you by Scheels, Disabled American Veterans of Minnesota, Smoky Hills Outdoor Store, Gate City Bank, Skeeter Boats and Yamaha Outboards, Yamaha Power Products, Woodland Resort, S&S Promotional Group, Wheelers Point Resort, and Ice Castle Fish Houses.